guys for psychicfuture.com, and this is your horoscope from the 1st to the 7th of October. So following on from the last few weeks, we've got even more focus on the balance in our lives right now. So if you watched my last week's video, we were talking about how the equinox and the full moon have triggered this kind of reflection. So when we're looking at our relationships, what can we learn about ourselves? And when we meet somebody that triggers a certain kind of reaction from us, what does that say about us? So this is really the theme of this time of year, and it's going to get a little bit more practical now, and you're going to be able to put this kind of idea into practice because we've got Venus is going retrograde this week. So before you panic and think, oh, not another retrograde, please no, don't worry too much. It's not going to be like Mercury retrograde because that is a very chaotic kind of energy. But Venus retrograde is a lot softer and slower and gentler. And actually what it's going to try and do for us is it's going to try and illuminate any of the relationship issues that we might have and help us to figure out what we need to do to make those better. So for example, it might be the case that, like a lot of people, you have been working really hard, you've been trying to get your life sorted, you've been kind of like having, you're fingering lots of pies, spinning lots of plates, lots of things going on that is just a little bit of a burden and it's a little bit too much. Then what happens is you end up neglecting some of your relationships because, those are the things that are the easiest to like postpone and forget about. So this might manifest in, perhaps you and your partner are not spending enough time together, like quality time where you're not just kind of rushing to and from work. Or you might find that you haven't spoken to some of your friends in weeks that you would really love to catch up with, or just maybe it might even come up that you have a little bit of an argument or a debate with somebody and you think, oh, why has this happened? And it's come up to show you which of your relationships need a little bit of extra work and a little bit of extra love shined on them this week. So it might be the opposite. And in particular for you as well, Scorpio, that there might be some issues where perhaps you're putting too much into some relationship that's not helping you. So it might be the case that, maybe you've got a friend that's a little bit negative at times and you're constantly trying to cheer them up. And actually that when you look at it, that's draining you of your own energy. Some people, they can't help it. It's just, they're not doing it on purpose, but they are kind of like this psychic vampire kind of energy where they are like draining you because they're being very negative. So if you do have someone in your life like that, this week that will come up for you so that you now can slightly like change the way that you deal with that person. So I'm not saying like cut that person off or or like treat them any differently than you normally would, but maybe just place some boundaries, like if you're enjoying a nice evening with your partner and you get a message through from somebody that needs your attention, maybe just switch your phone off and dedicate your attention to that person that you're with at that point, and try not to let other people kind of like demand your attention, because that can make you feel really overwhelmed. And then what it does is it makes you do the opposite, particularly if you're like me and you give all of this energy out, and then what you do is you just shut down and you're like, okay, I'm not texting anybody back now. Whereas actually you would quite like to text certain people back, or you would quite like to give your energy to certain people, but it's just that you've got these few people that are like kind of like clawing for your attention all the time that make you just kind of blanket ignore everybody. So if that resonates with you, this is the kind of thing that's going to come up, and it might not be specifically that, it's just basically any of your relationship dynamics now are going to come to light and you're going to need to do something about them, because it's going to help you to feel a lot freer, a lot lighter once you have worked out what you need to do with each of these relationships, whether they need more or less put into them. So another thing that's happening this week, which will be quite a big one for you, and it will help this kind of transformation in your relationships along a little bit, is Pluto, your ruling planet, is moving direct. So Pluto has been retrograde recently, which has been kind of blocking us from moving forwards and from changing in the way that we want to change. So if you have had some idea that you want to start something new, or you want to move in a different direction, or get a new job, or just do something that's different from usual, but you've been pulled back for some reason, this is Pluto retrograde. And now that Pluto retrograde is over, we should be able to move forwards with a little bit more ease. And that in turn will free up some more energy to dedicate to the relationships that we want to dedicate it to. So yeah, really try and think about the dynamics that you have in your relationships right now this week, and try and like maybe even out some of the energy. If you need to take more energy for yourself, do that. If you need to connect with certain people, do that. If you need to like take a little bit of time away from some people, do that. Like whatever it is, it's going to come up for you this week, and you're going to be able to take a new approach to it. So I'm going to pull you a tarot card, and we'll do one for your relationships rather than general this week, because that is the theme of the week. So let's have a card for Scorpio for their relationships this week. This one. Oh, pleasure. 6 of Cups. Lovely. And actually this is one of your cards. This is Sun in Scorpio. So this is basically telling you to like slow down and just have a little bit of pleasure in your life. So that might look like, you know, going out for the day, like catching up with somebody that makes you feel really good about life. Maybe, you know, you need to indulge a little bit. Maybe you need to like have a bubble bath, or maybe you need to go out for a nice dinner with your partner, or maybe you need to go home and see your family a little bit, some family members. Maybe that will make you feel really kind of filled up with like this kind of pleasurable energy. And this is just basically telling you this week to put any of the work stuff, or any of the like hustle and the like constant like list of things to do, you know, maybe you've got loads of chores that you're like, oh, I have to clean the kitchen and I have to get that you know, that work project done and all of this stuff. Just try and for one afternoon or one evening, or you know, as much time as you possibly can, just try and put a pin in that stuff and just focus on what you can do for pleasure, what you can do that kind of resets you and recharges you, so that you can go back to that stuff feeling like you have like a fresh set of eyes and you're ready to take on work because you have actually taken the time to indulge yourself. So yeah, have a lovely week, Scorpio, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you next week. Much love.